Hi, I'm Leo Laporte of the Twit Network at twit.tv, and with me right now, Mr. Paul Thurrott, the author of a fabulous book, which everybody should get on their iPad. I love to bait him. Windows 7 Secrets. Actually, it's available in at Amazon's store as a soft cover, but also on the Kindle. And if you have it on the Kindle, you can run it on any platform that has the Kindle software on it. So I am, in fact, reading it on the iPad. It's a great book, really wonderful look at Windows 7. And Paul and I do a regular podcast on the Twit Network called Windows Weekly, in which we talk about Windows. And one of the things that has continued to come up time and time again. Even though, how long has Windows 7 been out now? It's almost a year.
It feels like it's been out forever, Leo, but it's
6
been
months
since October.
Yeah. But people are still a little confused about the different versions in Windows 7. I thought it might be kind of nice to get a quick little summary of the different flavors of Windows 7 there are and what might be right for you.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways to look at this. You know, in the book, we have a tremendous chart that literally goes through virtually every feature that's available in Windows 7 and explains which are available in all of the different product editions. But when you look at Windows 7 from a retail perspective, you know, how you're going to get it in a store or on a new PC, essentially what you're looking at is you're going to get Windows 7 Starter, which typically would come on a netbook computer, Home Premium, Professional, or Ultimate Edition. And those are the basic editions. And again, you know, in the different ways that you can look at these products, I mean, there are you know, different ways to compare them. I think the sweet spot is with Home Premium, and that if you're a person that got Starter Edition on a netbook, I would look at upgrading to Home Premium.
Yeah, if you look at your chart, I mean, Starter basically has very few of the features.
A lot of holes in there, yeah.
But Home Premium has almost everything.
Yeah, one of the things I looked at was, you know, how many features are in each of the product editions and how many are unique features that only start with that product edition. So, for example, Starter Edition has 43 different features, essentially. Home Premium has 71, so it's quite a jump.
Right.
But when you move up from Home Premium to Professional and then from Professional to Ultimate, in both cases, you basically get about 9 additional features. So it's a much smaller jump as you move up. Now, depending on your needs, you know, some of those features might, in fact, be important. You know, so that's something to look at. But I think for most people who would be reading the book, for most people who are average consumers, you know, Home Premium is the way to go. But, you know,
and that's what most people are getting, isn't it? I mean, isn't that what most retailers are selling?
Yeah, actually, when you look at the versions of Windows 7 that have been sold, I think it's 84% is Home Premium,
right?
By large, and most of them are actually the 64-bit edition of Home Premium, which is also kind of interesting.
Do you want to talk about 64 versus 32? Do you want to get into that?
Not too much, other than to say you should just go 64, and we'll leave it at that. I mean, I think we've gotten past the point where that's going to be an issue. And the reason I think it's important to go 64, above all the obvious stuff, you know, there's some security implications there. You get access to additional RAM and resources and all that, and that stuff's important. But Microsoft does not support upgrading between 32 and 64-bit versions of Windows. So when Windows 8 comes out down the road, if you want to do an upgrade, you're going to want to have the 64-bit version because you're going to want to update at that point to the, you know, the mainstream version, which will be 64-bit.
What are the negatives of going to 64-bit? Aren't there compatibility issues, things like that?
Yeah, there can be, but I think that's a lot less of an issue than it used to be. Windows Vista timeframe, you could make a compelling case for especially from a driver standpoint. That going with 32-bit made a lot of sense, but now with Windows 7, to get the logo, you're required to have a 64-bit version. It's much, much less of an issue than it was before.
So, in general, get 64 unless you have a compelling reason not to.
Yeah, it would have to be a pretty niche usage. You know, maybe you have a really old application or device of some kind that, for whatever reason, doesn't work in 64-bit. But one of the nice things is if you do buy a retail version of Windows 7, you actually get both disks. So if you install the 64-bit version and it doesn't work out for you, you could, in fact, go back to 32-bit if you wanted to. You'd have to install the system over again, of course, but right. It is possible.
So Windows Home Premium for most people, 64-bit.
Yep.
If you've got an older, you know, or rather a netbook or some less expensive with Windows Starter, that would be a definite
an ideal
upgrade.
candidate. Yeah.
Yep.
And there's software built into Windows 7 that allows you to upgrade inexpensively and electronically, and thus very quickly, to an upper-level version of Windows 7. So if you do have Starter Edition and you wanted to upgrade to Windows 7 Home Premium, you could use Windows Anytime Upgrade to make that happen. It's included right in the software.
Is there anyone who would want Ultimate?
Yeah, I think when you look at the features that are available, there are some big features that you get from moving up, and there's just a few. So moving from Home Premium to Professional, you get the ability to back up over the network, which could be important to some people. You get domain support, which is a requirement in certain work conditions, offline file access, and remote desktop host. Ultimate Edition is like the full meal deal. You get everything. And for an end user, I'd say the two big features that you get are BitLocker, which is full disk encryption, which can be really useful, and also BitLocker to Go, which is disk encryption for USB storage. And that's huge because we all have these little USB memory keys. They're very easy to lose. And if you have crucial data on there, it's not horrible to lose a little USB key, but what is horrible is for someone else to get your private data. So if that thing is encrypted with BitLocker to Go, they won't be able to break into it. They won't be able to access your data, and that's important. And unfortunately, the only way to get that is with Windows 7 Ultimate.
Any other notes, any other important things people should know about when they're choosing Windows 7?
No, I think that's the big bet. I mean, if you haven't purchased Windows 7 yet, again, I would stress that looking over that chart that's in the book is really the best way, because it's an exhaustive list of the features that are available, and it breaks it down by product edition. So you can scroll through the list, see the things that are most important to you, and then figure out which version of Windows you absolutely have to get.
Yeah, this book is a must-have. Really, Windows 7 Secrets. How many pages? It's like 1,000 pages.
It's a big book.
And you know, the truth is, you could just go in the bookstore and go to chapter 2.
You could, but why would you do such a thing?
Actually, it's chapter 1, understanding the differences and choosing the right version.
Right. It's a big, it's an important thing, because, you know, as Microsoft has really spread out the available number of versions of Windows that we have, you know, you need to understand what the differences are between each.
It's incredible. Yeah, it's incredible. Thank you, Paul Thurrott.
Thank you.
And make sure everybody that you tune in Paul's podcast, Windows Weekly. You can get it at twit.tv/ww, twit.tv/ww. And, of course, Paul writes regularly, like more than once a day, on his super site for Windows, winsupersite.com. Take care.
You too. Thank you.